Hi, welcome to the TNT Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Demolition Games, where we are recording live.
Right now.
Or in the future, depending on when you're watching this.
Oh, sure.
Or in the past.
Right.
When will then be now? Soon.
Today we're talking about tactical games. You know, the games where you have to be the general and commander and make tactical things. Decisions. So let's get right into it then. Tactical games, what are you guys, your feelings, thoughts? There's a wide array and variety. There's even Final Fantasy, which I know you're a fan of.
That's my
Garrett.
favorite. You know, also we just did the show, know I like Final Fantasy. But also Final Fantasy Tactics, which is one of the very best of its type to make game. It's a reason why I enjoy the genre in the first place. XCOM is coming out. It's kind of why we're talking about it. The new XCOM's coming out, and the old XCOM was very popular, but the new XCOM has taken it to another level. They take a lot of thought. They take a lot of planning. That's why I think it's inaccessible to some. But I just like having a broad role-playing game situation where you have different abilities and you can match the abilities and tie them together and try to decide how you're going to level up this character. And most of the time you have to deal with death. If that character dies, all the work you put in on him is gone. So you got to have backups, and sometimes you train animals, and the story for almost all of them are either functional like XCOM, Aliens and United Nations and whatever, or Final Fantasy. It's a big, arching Final Fantasy type story, and they just allow you to think in a way you don't get to think in other games. So I love them, even though I don't ever have the time to put in like I like to.
It's kind of, to me, it's the place where tabletop games and video games really come together, and except for the whole playing with other people, which usually you play these games by yourself against a computer. But of course, if you're a kid who doesn't have any siblings or nobody to play with, then that's a great thing, because I've played some tabletop games by myself before and it really stunk. It wasn't any fun because I always won, but I also always lost. So I really was a big fan of the last XCOM game. I very much enjoyed it, and like, minor spoiler, the very first mission, like, all of your guys die and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a great intro to the game because you realize, oh, so that's how it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to the kind of the evolution of it. You know, see where they can take it next time. Firaxis did a great job with the last XCOM game, so I'm pretty stoked about that one. And strategies or tactical games are a thing that they can sort of add whatever theme they want to it. I fully expect Disney to figure that out and start giving us Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars tactics games, because tabletop gaming is getting more and more popular, and when they see that there's more of a market for that,
and those almost always convert to the board game side too.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic because it's sort of a board game inspired video game that then gets turned into a board game.
Yep.
I agree.
Tactics and things.
Tactics and things.
I know.
All right.
Well, it's time for the non-flashing lights. Say it's for TNT.
TNT round. I want to start off by revealing what another one of our prizes that
Here's our new prize
you could
box.
potentially win. Ooh, looks like a little bundle here.
The Star Wars water bottle.
Water
And
bag
then,
pouch.
very cool, it's a nap pillowcase that you can't really even understand sleep of this magnitude.
And we also need to draft for team members. Our blue team and our red team are
But
ready
first,
to recruit. Oh yeah, how
we're
could I
gonna
forget?
do Die of Destiny. Remember, 18, 19, or 20, prize time. Here we go.
7.
7. No winner this week.
It's too bad.
Keep watching. We'll keep rolling. You might win.
Best of luck.
Now let's draw for teams.
Team drawn time. Let's give me a red team.
Red team first.
For the red team, I have Rasai 451. Congratulations. Welcome to the red team.
All right. The blue team today adds Dallin G. Welcome to the blue team, Dallin. You may notice that we're both wearing purple today, which is a sign of us both really caring about and caring for the blue team and the red team.
That's right.
It's okay. You know, it's okay. It doesn't matter which team you're on. You're still cool, but blue is still better.
We're all winners.
Yes. Just some are more winners than others.
That's fair enough.
All right, you ready for some TNT round questions?
Do it. I'm ready.
All right, first question I believe
I'll
should
go
be
first.
G.
I
Okay.
just decided it doesn't
You ready? Ready? What franchise would make for a good tactical game?
Well, one of my favorite toys as a kid that didn't last very long, had a cartoon that also didn't last very long, but would be super fun, especially in a video games situation, is Visionaries. If you're not familiar with Visionaries, they had holograms on their chest, and some of them had staffs with holograms, and in the cartoon, they could turn into whatever the hologram was. So one guy could turn into a tiger, and he would disappear, and the tiger would be there. Some of them had fireballs and magical spells. There was this whole gamut of things. But it would be great because you could have them have a tactical and have that other ability. They could earn different things on their chest. It would be super fun. Visionaries. Look it up online. It's awesome.
That sounds
Sort
pretty
of
cool.
a medieval fantasy
Yeah,
type
it was
setting,
medieval.
right?
Yeah, it was medieval setting. It was wizards. And that was all magical. Their little.
It's like your Patronus, just
It is. It's like your Patronus.
Let's bring it right into the present.
Yeah.
Well, the very, very recent
that's
past.
for the millennials.
I think I bought issue number 1 of that comic book of Visionaries, and I was hoping it was going to be worth something someday.
Yeah, it didn't.
It was the best $1.50 I ever spent.
All right, Matt, what about you? What franchise do you think would make for a good tactical game?
I think James Bond would make for a great tactical game. I think you kind of go back to the days where Rareware and Free Radical did their James Bond and Time Splitters games, where when you had a mission, you had optional objectives that you could fulfill. So James Bond's main objective on a level, for example, is to get the intelligence. But on the way, he can woo the girl, and he can kill, whatever bad guy was just kind of on his way, and add additional objectives to it. And of course, you will have an entire team, but at the end of every level, James Bond is the only person on the good guys team standing, except for Felix Leiter and one of the females, because every movie there's always one female alive, and the rest of them have all met an untimely end.
Now, if you also threw Perfect Dark in there too, now.
That could do. Maybe they could marry the two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not James Bond and Joanna Dark, but
Yeah.
the two concepts.
Yeah.
And you have sort of a futuristic James Bond. James Bond has done the past, but he's never done the future.
Right.
So you could do it.
Those are both good answers. In order to choose the winner, what we're going to do is we're going to poll some of the attendees here and see who's more popular.
This is the Rev at Demolition Games. Let's find out what our friends have to say about our host's answers.
I'm going to go with James Bond.
Is there even a question? Bond.
James Bond, I don't see making too great a tactical game. Like shooters, sure. I don't really see it being a tactics game too well. So maybe the other one, but I have no idea what the other one is either.
I mean, since I know James Bond and I don't know the other one, I'd have to go with Bond. Actually putting together sort of the Q team, I guess.
Going with James Bond because I have no clue what visionary toys are.
So the people have spoken, and as he usually is, James Bond has come out on top.
On the top?
On the top.
So to speak.
So
I have to admit, Visionaries may have been the better answer, but James Bond is definitely the one that more people are going to be aware of, and it'll have the better chance of A, getting made into a game, and B, being a successful game. Whereas if they made Visionaries, they'd have to pretty much
Make people.
they'd have to sort of pretend to recreate it. Hey, we had this great idea, check it out, because drawing on the past, nobody would remember it.
but it could be ripe for a reboot.
That's true. It's true. I'll make it happen. On
I'm
stick
interested.
figure drawings, at least.
All right, round number 2. Well, question number 2 of the only round that we're in.
Right,
The
yes.
D&D round.
Yes.
I remember how the show works. It's fine. Okay. Who would win in a tactical game against each other, facing off against each other? G.I. Joe or Cobra? Matt, you start this one.
Okay, this one kind of needs a little bit more detail. We need to know if it's the comic book G.I. Joe, the TV show, the TV cartoon, or the movies, okay? Because if it's the comic book, well, let's go the other direction. If it's the movies, The Rock wins. If it's the TV show, G.I. Joe wins because Cobra can't kill anybody, right? G.I. Joe can't kill anybody either, but good guys can win without killing anybody, right? And then if it's the comic book, Cobra would win because if you can take out Snake Eyes, you can take out anybody. Spoiler alert.
This is really like a shark versus a bear
There's a
thing,
lot
where
of
it's
stuff
all
going
about
on.
terrain.
We have to determine which one of those is going to win the round.
Sorry, G.I. Joe went 2 out of 3 on mine, so G.I. Joe wins.
G.I. Joe. Okay.
All right. Well, I think when I think about this question, I think cartoon, and so I think Cobra only because, in general, in the cartoon, Cobra had the more creative, different groups of guys. So in a tactical game, you have all these different abilities. You got shape changing, and you got magical Cobra stuff, and you got, the twins that can feel each other's pain, which I don't know if that's any good. You got Dr. Mindbender. You have a bigger array of different craziness that you'd be able to utilize in the tactical game.
Yeah, the Joes had a great variety of characters, but Cobra had like an entire unit devoted to each different kind of weirdo.
Of weirdness, yeah. So I think cartoon, and I would say Cobra just for that.
You have a better range of specialized skills.
Serpentor and just weirdness.
Plus, Cobra's got unity of purpose.
That's true.
Own the world. Whereas GI Joes, they got all
Except
the
for
United
Destro wants to
Nations
do
and
weird
weird funding stuff. Sure. They got that one rogue.
All right, both good answers. Let's see what the people have to say.
G.I. Joe.
Well, I think if 2 out of 3 of the different storytelling structures have favored G.I. Joe, then I'd probably stick with G.I. Joe. Plus, I grew up in the cartoons, and no one could hit a bloody thing except for Lady J with her bow.
Right, they trained at the same place as the Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I'm always rooting for Cobra, so let's go with Cobra.
All right.
I'd probably have to go with Cobra, only because of the number of soldiers they have.
I'd pick G.I. Joe in that one because more diversified skill set, and that's what wins in tactics games generally, not numbers.
Well, the people think that in a throwdown, a tactical throwdown, G.I. Joe would win.
Good guys.
They are the good guys.
James Bond and G.I. Joe are not bad choices to make for a day.
I kind of went with the front runners on that one.
Which means that the blue team
wins. Well done, blue team. Well done.
But don't worry, I have another question for you.
Okay.
If you were a Marine in a tactical squad, who would be your squad leader? Dora the Explorer or Carmen Sandiego?
Where in the world?
There's so much to say here. Matt specifically is already ready to go, but there is no time.
Dora the Explorer, because she has the map.
Carmen Sandiego. Most likely, primarily so that way we wouldn't get found.
Carmen Sandiego. Either way, we could end up in some crazy places.
I'd probably say Carmen Sandiego. She at least knows where she's trying to get to. She's not just trying to see stuff. And I'd rather, have a concrete, we're going here for this reason.
Carmen Sandiego all the way. Well, first of all, nostalgia's sake. I mean, I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up with the show. Second of all, it's Carmen Sandiego. I mean, she's hot. She's also a world-class thief, and she's an adult. Tactics Advance is probably one of my favorite games ever, and definitely the one I've sunk the most time in. My longest save on there was like 360 hours, and I had like 5 different saves.
You wonder where they get so many soldiers.
Right?
I
think they answered that at one point. Like in one of the comics, they talked about like cloning or something.
Oh, okay. I can see that. I was gonna say, that's gotta be.
I could be
the
wrong,
answer.
but I seem to remember
To
something
get
like
that many people that want to overthrow the Earth.
Yeah. Of course, then again, I might be thinking of a Robot Chicken skit too, so I'm not sure.
Which would be even better.
Yeah.
Thanks again to all of our friends at Demolition Games. And until next time, remember, if you walk without rhythm, you won't attract the worm.